Hi guys and welcome to another Hero of the Week. This week's hero is our old friend James O'Brien. Now James raises a point that you're certainly not going to hear on GB News or Talk TV, and if it is reported in the mainstream media, it will be quite fleeting. Net migration numbers are down, and as he points out here, there's a massive problem with this. Have a listen.
I'm afraid I'm reaching for the I Told You So button again today with news that net migration has just come down to 204,000. Count them. 204,000. I mean, the word is plummeting, and I told you that this was going to happen. It wasn't a particularly perspicacious contribution to our conversations because the evidence has been there throughout. I'll leave you to decide why it is so completely and roundly ignored by everybody who professes to be profoundly concerned about immigration. If migration drops by 100,000, the Office of Budgetary Responsibility estimates that we lose about £7 billion in taxes. Because most people who come here from other countries work very hard. So if you were being encouraged today to get very, very furious about the abolition of the two-child benefit cap, you should be, by rights, 2 and a bit times as furious about every 100,000 drop in net migration. This isn't an opinion, this is counting. How many of the people telling you today to be furious about the cut to the abolition of the two-child benefit cap would also encourage you to be furious about a drop in immigration? A drop in net migration. I'll just leave that hanging because we have become, my friends, a ludicrous country.
If you jump on GB News or Talk TV, you can already hear the people like Julie Hartley-Brewer complaining about how the abolition of the two-child benefit cap is catastrophic for the nation. How it's punishing people who are working and it's celebrating people who are not. Now, if I was extremely cynical and I worked in Number 10, I would be telling the Prime Minister to hold a press conference about this, saying, look, net migration numbers are down. We have succeeded. This is a massive success. This is great. You know, the Tories couldn't bring down immigration. We did. Now, of course, this will be a massive mistake for the economy, but from a political point of view, it's gold. Now, do you think the Labour Party are going to organise this? Do you think the Prime Minister is going to hold a press conference? I highly doubt it. So there's an opportunity for them to score a goal politically, but they're not doing it. Now, the reason they shouldn't be doing it is because it's an absolute disaster. As James has pointed out, net migration is down. Now, generally, there are 2 reasons for this. One is the economy is not doing very well. You know, if your economy is not doing well, you're not going to attract workers to it. And we're talking about generally students and workers here. We're not talking about asylum seekers. They make up about 5%. So we're talking mainly about students and people coming to work. In some cases, the students go on to work, but we're talking about those 2 groups there. These are people who bring money in with them to study, or people who work and create prosperity for the state. Those numbers are down. So that's bad for the economy. Now, one reason is if the economy is not doing well, it's not attracting people. But what else is happening? Well, the Conservatives, before they left office, put in measures to make it more difficult for people to come in. So that's part of the reason why the net migration numbers are down. And Labour supported that. They didn't U-turn on it. They didn't roll it back. No, they supported it. So part of this problem is on them as well. So this was a ludicrous policy. It was about bringing down net migration because, well, you had to keep Nigel Farage and his cohort happy. So the Tories introduced this before they left office, and it had a detrimental impact on universities and on the economy because it made it more difficult for universities to access foreign students, and it made it more difficult for businesses to get the workers in from abroad. Massive victory for the Tories, and now the Labour Party, the Labour government are seeing the consequences of that. Net migration numbers are down. As James pointed out as well, if you have fewer people coming in to do work, then it's going to be damaging for your economy. But don't worry, the racists and bigots are satisfied. Well, not really satisfied because they're not talking about this. This is a ridiculous policy. It damages the economy and it doesn't actually help you politically. What Labour should be doing is increasing migration. Now, of course, this is going to be something that the likes of GB News and Talk TV would be having a meltdown over. But if you want to grow the economy, you need workers. If you can't find workers locally, then you have to source them from abroad. That's the reality of the economy. That's the reality of the situation. And if you're able to grow the economy, you have more taxpayers, more people feeding into the system, more people paying into the system, and then you're able to rebuild public services. And then you're able to improve the situation for ordinary people. You should communicate that, of course. If you do, then they're going to vote for you. So this leftover Tory policy is extremely damaging also for Labour. They may think that they're winning tactically if they're going to sell it as look at us, we brought down net migration. It may be a tactical win, but strategically it's a disaster. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think, and I'll see you in the next video.